The headline, President Biden, flanked there by Vice President Harris, announcing today that the country will have enough vaccine supply to vaccinate every American adult by the end of May. That is sliding the promise up from the end of July by 2 months. The president also making extensive remarks about schools, saying that there are now mental health concerns due to isolation and the disparities of remote school. He committed that every education employee, school employees and teachers should be able to have at least one shot of a COVID vaccine by the end of March. Made some pretty sharp comments about what he inherited. He said, we're making progress from the mess we inherited, accused the last administration of not contracting with enough vaccine manufacturers to have enough supply for the country. Joining our conversation, Peter Baker, New York Times chief White House correspondent, as well as an MSNBC political analyst and MSNBC medical contributor, Dr. Kavita Patel, former Obama White House health policy director. Dr. Patel, I'm sure I missed something, but take me through the news from your vantage point.
Yeah, huge news, Nicole, and some key points that the president actually not only invoked the Defense Production Act, but used it to get what would be traditional drug rivals, Merck and Johnson & Johnson, to work together to actually develop enough vaccines so that we can meet that target, which is astonishing. Enough vaccine for anyone who wants it by the end of May. That's incredible. And then the second, I think, was a very pointed, not so pointed reference to what we've just heard about from Governor Greg Abbott, lifting a mask mandate and lifting restrictions. And I think you saw President Biden reminding people, I'm asking for 100 days. I'm trying to meet my promise by getting you vaccines earlier. And I think the third, as you point out, what was clear in that message about schools is he's using the federal workforce and the federal pharmacy distribution so that he can directly ship vaccines to pharmacy partners and have them earmarked for teachers and educators. Huge, because not all states have adopted a priority scheme for teachers and educators and child care workers.
Peter Baker, this is the power of the White House, invoking the Defense Production Act, getting two rival drug manufacturers to come together for the good of the country. He actually hearkened back to a tool that is used at times of war. This is what he ran on. This is what he's delivering very early in his presidency.
Well, he knows he's going to be judged on this. This is the one thing people wanted most when they elected him, that and I think perhaps a sense of calmer leadership. But particularly, obviously, this pandemic has to be priority number one. He has made it priority number one. And the sooner he gets people vaccinated, the sooner people can begin to get back to some sort of semblance of real life. The better it'll be for the country. Obviously, there's so much frustration out there right now among parents who want their kids to be back in school. Republicans, of course, have been trying to tap into that and using that to criticize the president for not doing more to get students back into the classrooms. He's addressing that today by saying, let's get the shots into the arms of teachers. Let's make them essential workers the way we do healthcare workers and other frontline workers who have been prioritized in this vaccine program. And of course, he's taking his shots, as you pointed out, at the previous administration for leaving in what he calls a mess. Of course, they also left him the vaccine, which he's now distributing. But he has, of course, ramped up production, and he's trying to get the distribution system working better than it was when he got it. And I think that's the priority Americans want him to show. And if things are available by the end of May, people can see the light at the end of the tunnel. But as you rightly point out, he warns not to get too optimistic too soon, that we're not at the end of the tunnel yet. We can see the light, but there's still a lot of danger between now and then. People are still vulnerable who have not been vaccinated. People still need to wear masks. He's telling Americans they need to be careful and watch out for the fact that we're still having infections, tens of thousands a day.
Well, and Dr. Patel, you referenced Texas Governor Abbott. Let me read you NBC News' story on this. This broke since we've been on the air. Texas Governor Greg Abbott will lift the state's mask mandate and announce businesses would be allowed to reopen at full capacity in 1 week's time. Quote, "It is now time to open Texas 100%, Abbott said Tuesday afternoon. COVID has not suddenly disappeared, but state mandates are no longer needed." I believe Greg Abbott's Houston is the one city in America that now has victims of all four of the COVID strains coursing through this country. And while all this supply is on the way, there's no indication that children will be vaccinated anytime soon. I know we've talked about kids. Is it reckless to take our masks off before we know for certain the impact of these strains on kids?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, out of the top 20 counties in the United States that have the most cases of COVID, 11 of them are in the state of Texas. You pointed out yesterday, Houston made history in not a good way with the number of variants they proved to have in the state. And Nicole, I'm friends with a bunch of doctors and nurses there. They're stunned. They don't understand the logic. We're so close. 12% of Texans have been vaccinated, and we know this is hitting lower income Texans worse than others, people of color, which is a large population in the state of Texas. This is reckless. This is the definition of malpractice. And I really hope that people don't listen. And I hope that mayors try to do what they can to enforce what's sensible in their state.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.